Okay, well, we've made it here to the end of this video series. In video 4, we're going to talk about the final steps in the probate process, but let's recap. So obviously, it all begins when someone passes away. That's the first step. Now, the next step is that the probate is filed. Now, if you remember, the way this process is going to play out in this exact part of the big process is going to depend on whether or not there was a will. So if there was a will, the estate was called testate, and the deceased would have named the person that they entrusted to carry out their last wishes. They will have been specifically chosen by the deceased. In the absence of a will or intestate, the court will appoint someone to fill in that role. Now, it's not just a random process. In most states, there is a way they do this. For instance, if there's no living spouse, the next in line would be the child, and so forth. So there is a pecking order, so to speak, of how this is going to happen. So the court will issue the letter of testamentary or the letter of administration. And then that gives the person, whoever that person is, the legal right to carry out the wishes or to close out, work on the estate. So you would use the letters, for instance, to go to the bank and say, I'm the administrator or the executor, whichever the case would be, and I'm here to take care of the affairs of the estate. So that is legal proof, I guess it would be a good way to put it, that you have the right and you also have the responsibility of carrying out the estate in the legal and ethical manner as outlined. So in the next step, then once that is all settled, then the assets are sold. Remember, there's real property, which is real estate and all the things attached to it. And then there is personal property, and those are things that can be moved: jewelry, cars, boats, bank accounts, stocks and bonds, anything like that. Anything that is not real property is going to be personal property. So what happens then, when those assets are sold? The money's, once again, we're not going to go into the legality of all that, the way this has to happen, but the assets are kind of put in a pot. And then the next legal step in this is that the creditors get paid. So anyone that is entitled to be paid out of the estate, certainly funeral expenses are at the top of the list. Yeah, anything that people are on the hook for, like let's say they got a home equity line of credit on the home and they've sold the home, that gets paid. Anything that would be due upon someone's death, any debt gets paid. So the assets are sold, the creditors are paid, and then, and only then, the heirs get what is left. So in most cases, there is a fee that can be paid to the executor for his or her services. Sometimes it's family, a lot of times it's family, and they may not take that money. But it's only after they go through this whole process, and any fees that have been incurred. Let's say there was a realtor fee to sell the house. So all the fees and all the bills, all those things have to be paid. And then and only then do the heirs get what's left and the estate is closed. So that's how the process plays out in every state. Now, there may be some extra steps. In certain states have added a little bit of, made it a little bit more trouble to close out an estate. There may be appraisals needed for property and things like that. In my state, you don't have to do that. And in many states, it's a very straightforward process. So as promised, I've got a graphic for you. You can get it, the link, if you're on the blog page, it'll be on the blog page. There'll be a link. If you are seeing this video on YouTube or someplace like that, then I will have a link in the show notes. Be sure and print out the graphic, because if you don't work in probate all the time, sometimes you might forget the steps. And that is just a very broad overview of everything that happens behind the scenes, with the probate attorney taking care of things and or if the family decides to tackle it. So I just attempted to give you a broad overview of the process. I hope you enjoyed this series. I'm going to be reopening my probate course, Probate Investing Simplified. You can find it over at probateinvestingsimplified.com. And feel free to send me any questions you might have about any of this. You can do that on the blog, Louisville Gauss Real Estate blog, or you can send me an email at Sharon@SharonVornholt.com. And thanks so much for hanging in here with me on this video series on probate investing. Talk to you soon.